You're listening to Hoedown History, where we explore the history and legends of America's old-time and bluegrass music. I remember the first time I heard this tune played at a jam. I thought it sounded somewhat familiar, and it wasn't until after I started the research for this video that I discovered the reason why. The tune does share some similarity with some other, even more popular songs. So stick around because I'll share some of those numbers with you, and we'll even listen to the first ever recording of Seneca Square Dance. It's a legendary one that was made exactly 100 years ago. And while not that much is known about the two men who recorded it, we'll explore the story of how it was made, a theory of where this melody may have come from, and we'll even talk about that title, because if you're like me, it's not exactly what you think. So let's dive in. The person we can thank for the first ever commercial recording of Seneca Square Dance is this man, Fiddlin Sam Long. In fact, Long is also considered the first commercially recorded fiddler from the Ozark mountain region. Long is a bit of a mysterious figure in music history, and there isn't a ton of information out there about him, but this is what we do know. Sam Long was born in Kansas in 1876. His parents had moved there from Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Sam's father was an accomplished fiddler, but when he was still a young boy and Sam first expressed an interest in learning to play the fiddle himself, his father forbade him to touch it. He was worried that the young boy would damage his fine instrument. But young Sam was determined, and whenever he and his father were out working in the fields together, Sam would always come up with excuses to go back to the house for a bit. When he got there, his mother would give him his father's fiddle, and he'd practice on it, most likely imitating the tunes he'd heard his father play. Sam grew up with 6 other brothers and sisters, but would be the only sibling to eventually become a musician. When the rest of Sam's family finally found out that he'd secretly taught himself to play music, they were all kind of proud of him, even his father, and especially his grandmother, who loved his fiddling so much that she asked him that when she died if he could visit her grave and play his tunes by her gravestone. Sam agreed, and when his grandmother eventually passed away, Sam kept his promise. Little did he know that doing so would lead to his first experience of fame. As the story goes, one night, when Sam was fiddling by his grandmother's gravesite, the people who lived near the cemetery heard him playing. The fiddling went on throughout the night, for hours. While some of the people hearing this were downright frightened by this cemetery serenade, others thought that whoever was fiddling out in a graveyard in the middle of the night might just be crazy. The story of this mysterious cemetery fiddler soon spread, widely enough that an article was even written about it in a local newspaper, which was Sam's first claim to fame. When Long was 9 years old, the family moved to Burns, Kansas, near Wichita, and when he was in his 20s, Sam moved to California, where he spent 4 years making money from playing the fiddle at bars and different venues throughout the state. During this time, the rest of his family moved to southwestern Missouri, in the Ozark region. Sam eventually joined his family there, where he got married and began working in the lead and zinc mines. Working in the mines wasn't great for his health. Over time, the dust from all that mining began to cause him some significant lung problems that continued to plague him for the rest of his life. In 1912, he quit mining and spent a few years as a farmer. But farming didn't work out well enough to support his growing family, and by the time his 5th child was born in 1916, he had moved his family to Commerce, Oklahoma, where he soon went back to mining again. But this time he spent a little less time in the mines and more time making money from his fiddling, playing at square dances and other social events. He also made money repairing fiddles, and eventually became a well-sought-after luthier in the region. Then, in 1926, while still living in Commerce, Oklahoma, Sam heard about a 2-day fiddle competition in nearby Joplin, Missouri. Hearing that the contest offered a nice cash prize, Sam decided to enter. Little did he know that doing so would land him in the music history books. But first, he still needed to find an accompanist to play with. As luck would have it, and according to Sam's youngest daughter, just a few days before the competition, a stranger knocked on the door of the Longs' home. It was a traveling hobo by the name of Ray Kastner, who also happened to be a solid guitar player. Kastner had heard about the Joplin contest and learned that this real good fiddler might just be looking for a guitar player to play along with. Ray offered to accompany Sam, and Sam accepted the offer, and the two men set off to Joplin together. This was a pretty significant contest at the time. As the Joplin Globe newspaper reported, it would probably be, quote, the greatest fiddlers contest ever held in the region. Sam would be one of 88 fiddlers from 4 states, performing for an audience of about 4,000 people. I couldn't confirm which exact tune Sam played for the competition, but one newspaper article reported that he played some Ozark numbers, which, quote, knocked the competition, and eventually won the first place prize. In addition to the $50 in cash, he and Ray also won a trip north in order to make a commercial recording for Gannett Records. So, in January or February of 1926, the two men made their way to Newcastle, Pennsylvania to make a pair of records. They recorded 4 fiddle tunes in total: Echoes of the Ozarks, Sandy Land, Listen to the Mockingbird, and what would be the first ever commercial recording of Seneca Square Dance. Not only is this the first recording of the tune, but it's also our first ever known commercial Ozark recording. It's also just an amazing piece of fiddling, and despite countless recordings of Seneca Square Dance that would eventually follow through the decades, it still remains my personal favorite. So here's Fiddlin Sam Long's legendary 1926 recording of Seneca Square Dance. Long recorded the tune via acoustic, not electronic methods, and despite the kind of poor audio quality, it sold pretty well throughout the country, especially in the Midwest and West regions. Its popularity helped it get reissued several times over the years, although some confusion would accompany some of these records, as they would be released under some different pseudonyms. While some reissues would list his name properly as Fiddlin Sam Long of the Ozarks, on other discs he would be listed as Uncle Jim Hawkins or Fiddling Dave Neal, and even Ray's name would be changed to Roy Kastner. Despite Sam's successful recording session, his poor health from working in the mines continued to get worse. He spent most of the next several years living in drier climates, including Texas and Arizona, in an effort to improve his deteriorating lung condition. Then, in 1928, Sam entered another large fiddling competition in Joplin, but it may have been his last, as 3 years later, in 1931, while staying with an uncle in Kansas, the great fiddling Sam Long of the Ozarks passed away. He was 54 years old. But his recording of Seneca Square Dance would go on to serve as the model for many later fiddlers and musicians of old-time music, who would learn the piece either directly or indirectly from this recording. Just 2 years after Long's version, the tune would make another big splash, this time with another Ozark musician. Uncle Bob Larkin would record a version of Seneca Square Dance in 1928 under the title The Higher Up the Monkey Climbs. It's basically the same melody as Seneca Square Dance, but Larkin's version includes lyrics. Although Larkin was born in New York City, he spent pretty much his entire adult life in Prairie County, Arkansas. At the age of 21, he married and would eventually raise 9 daughters and 5 sons who would go on to form the base of his family band called Larkins and His Music Makers. Larkin's band played on a local radio station and eventually teamed up with two, well, medicine practitioners who sold some cures and healing ointments during the 1920s and 30s. When customer complaints started pouring in at the radio station, the doctors, or quacks, were forced off the airwaves. But Larkins and his band continued to be popular and even made some recordings with the OK label during this time. So here's Bob Larkin's 1928 version of The Higher Up the Monkey Climbs. And you should be able to make out the melody of Seneca Square Dance pretty easily. And it's also pretty great.
Higher up the monkey climbed, the higher up the monkey climbed, the higher up the monkey climbed, the plain reef shoulders, da 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 da.
It's interesting to note here that the vocalist was not credited on the recording. Some music historians believe it may have been either Larkin himself or possibly one of his daughters, but it remains one of those mysteries. Now, Seneca Square Dance is one of those tunes that goes by a number of different titles, including Got Little Home to Go To and Take Me Back to Texas to Eat Cornbread and Molasses. Here's a version by another Arkansas fiddler, Lon Jordan, who recorded this tune in the early 1940s. You can probably hum along the title to the A part, as it kind of fits the melody like a glove.
Take me back to Texas to eat cornbread and lasses.
But probably the most popular alternate title is Waiting for the Federals. Much of the popularity of this title can be attributed to two sources, one being the 1980 Western The Long Riders, where the tune pops up under this title on the film's soundtrack. And we can't forget the Scottish fiddler Ali Bain, who introduced Waiting for the Federals to the British Isles and Celtic repertoire in the early 80s, after reportedly learning it from J. Unger. At this point, we should probably discuss the meaning behind the title of Seneca Square Dance, and there are a couple of theories on where the name may have come from. So let's dive into the theories. I'll be honest, when I first heard this tune, I just kind of assumed it probably came from upstate New York, where the Seneca tribe makes their home. But my research revealed something different. While the Seneca Indians are known to have inhabited the upstate New York area as part of the Iroquois Nation, and some of you may be familiar with the well-known Seneca Falls, New York, which is the birthplace of the women's suffrage movement, but that's not the only Seneca in America. In fact, there is also a less known of Seneca in Missouri, one that happens to be just 22 miles from Commerce, Oklahoma, where Fiddlin Sam Long lived. Seneca, Missouri was also named for the Seneca Indians, many of which were relocated to this area after the War of 1812. So there is a strong case that our title derives from this town in Missouri. But Missouri isn't the only state to take ownership of the title. Others think the name may be referring to the Seneca Cayuga Nation, which is located in northeast Oklahoma, less than 20 miles from Seneca, Missouri, and also relatively close to where Sam Long lived as well. So both Missouri and Oklahoma do have a strong case here, and the debate continues to this day. As far as the second part of our title, I wasn't actually able to pull up any research to confirm what the square dance may be referring to. Is the title simply referring to a simple square dance taking place in Seneca? Or perhaps it's referring to a square dance that was performed by the Seneca Indians? As far as I could tell, this part still remains a bit of a mystery as well. Music researchers have suggested that Seneca Square Dance may find its source in an old minstrel tune from the 1800s entitled Shelby's Mule. The person credited with the lyrics to this tune is one Joseph Letty, who was a member of the original Dixie Minstrels in St. Louis. This was a song about the flamboyant Missouri cavalry leader, Joseph Orville Shelby, or Fighting Joe, as he was commonly called. Shelby was known for his year-long raids into Arkansas and Missouri during the Civil War, his most memorable exploit being his 30-day, 1,500-mile raid excursion against the Union Army in Missouri, inflicting a reported 600 casualties, capturing an equal number of prisoners, and taking away around $100 million worth of Union material. The mule of the title refers to the animals that helped carry the artillery during the war. And this is also where we most likely get the title, Waiting for the Federals.
The Union folks way up north were one time much afraid about something coming from the south. They said it was a raid. Shout, boys, make a noise, the Yankees are afraid that something's up and hell's to pay when Shelby's on a raid.
It was a popular tune of the time, and may also be the source of several related tunes that spun off as well, including a tune John Hartford believed was related, entitled The Turkey Buzzard. And also Old Raccoon, John Carson's Hellbound for Alabama, and a tune performed by the Skillet Lickers called Ride Old Buck to Water, which all may have derived from Shelby's Mule, and do bear some similarity to Seneca Square Dance as well. But Letty didn't just get Shelby's Mule from thin air. He reportedly borrowed the melody from another minstrel tune called Gal from the South. It was composed by L.V.H. Crosby, which he published way back in 1848. And from there it appears that the trail for any earlier sources goes a bit dark. Some music researchers have also theorized that the tune may be related to that popular gospel number, Rock o' My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham. This song was first published in 1867 and does share a surprising similarity.
Rocking my soul and boozing up, baby. I'm a rocking my soul and boozing up, baby. I'm a rocking my soul. The boozing up, baby. I'm a whole rocking my soul. Look up yonder, what I sing. Oh, rocking my soul. Look up yonder, what I see, oh, rocking my soul.
And finally, I should probably mention that some believe our tune may also be related to that classic 19th century sea chanty entitled, What Shall We Do with the Drunken Sailor? This tune was first published in 1839, but thought to date back to at least the 1820s. There's not much research to back up the claim that this may be our ultimate source for Seneca Square Dance, but it is kind of funny to think it might be. And I'm not sure what may be funnier, that Drunken Sailor may be related to Seneca Square Dance, or that it may be related to Rockin' My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham. So folks, that's all I got on Seneca Square Dance. Hope you enjoyed this one, and thanks for listening.